In the vast, churning waters of the Southern Ocean, there lies an island, a place of breathtaking beauty, yet once a name that struck fear into the hearts of men. This is Tasmania, or Van Diemen's Land as it was once known. In the early 19th century, the British Empire saw this remote outpost not as a paradise, but as the perfect solution to a problem. It was to be a prison, located at the very edge of the known world. Ships would sail for months, carrying human cargo destined for a life of hard labor. These were not just hardened criminals, but often people whose only crime was poverty. Their sentence was exile, a one-way journey to a place from which there was, seemingly, no return. The journey itself was an ordeal, a brutal filter that many did not survive. But for those who did, what awaited them was a meticulously designed system of punishment. The jewel in this crown of misery was Port Arthur, a penal settlement on the Tasman Peninsula. It was built on a philosophy of psychological torment as much as physical confinement. The separate prison was a masterpiece of cruelty, a place where men were kept in total silence and isolation. They wore hoods when moved, their identities stripped away, their spirits systematically broken. The goal was not just to contain them, but to erase their very sense of self, to make them anonymous souls lost in a silent, unforgiving world. The island's reputation grew, whispered in the grim streets of London and Dublin. It was a place beyond hope, a final destination. The very name, Van Diemen's Land, became synonymous with suffering. The labor was relentless. Convicts felled ancient trees, quarried stone, and built the very structures that imprisoned them. They were cogs in a machine designed to exploit both human desperation and the island's rich natural resources. The psychological toll was immense. Here, surrounded by some of the most spectacular scenery on Earth, men lived in a state of profound despair, their world reduced to the swing of an axe and the cold stone of their cell. Today, we walk through these stawas, and Dangyawa Penshur, Adawa Stawais, and Dundonri, and Yinshur Kawai, and feel a deep sense of history's weight. The beautiful manicured lawns and stately trees stand in stark contrast to the stories etched into the weathered sandstone. It is a place of profound contradiction. The air is fresh, filled with the scent of eucalyptus and the sound of bird song. Yet, if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echoes of the past, the clank of chains, the silent footsteps of hooded men. Tasmania's journey from a place of punishment to a sanctuary of nature begins here, in the shadows of its brutal history, a reminder of the resilience of both the human spirit and the natural world. The architects of Port Arthur were cunning. They understood that the most effective prison walls are not always built by human hands. The Tasman Peninsula is a natural fortress, a piece of land that seems designed for confinement. It is connected to the rest of Tasmania by a sliver of land, a narrow isthmus known as Eaglehawk Neck. This strip is barely 100 meters wide. On one side, the turbulent waters of Pirates Bay. On the other, the calmer, but no less impassable, Norfolk Bay. The geography itself was the primary jailer. Any convict dreaming of freedom had to first confront this formidable natural barrier, a seemingly impossible gateway to the wild interior beyond. To cross this neck of land was to attempt the impossible. The authorities enhanced this natural obstacle with a brutal and effective deterrent. This was the infamous dog line. A row of fierce, half-starved dogs were chained across the isthmus, their kennels spaced just far enough apart that they could almost touch. Their incessant barking was a constant, unnerving reminder to the prisoners that any attempt to flee would likely end in a savage death. At night, lamps were lit on the sand to illuminate any movement. The combination of land, water, and beast created a near-perfect security system, a living, breathing wall of teeth and terror that held thousands captive. And yet, the human desire for freedom is a powerful force. Many tried to escape, their stories becoming legends of desperation and ingenuity. Some attempted to swim the shark-infested waters, their bodies often washing ashore days later. One of the most famous escapees was Martin Cash. He and two companions managed to brave the water, swimming across the bay with their clothes tied in bundles on their heads. They succeeded where so many had failed, their tale a rare glimmer of hope in a place defined by despair. But for every Martin Cash, there were countless others whose bids for freedom ended in tragedy, their dreams swallowed by the cold sea or torn apart on the dog line. The landscape was a constant player in this human drama. The sheer cliffs, the dense unfamiliar bush, and the treacherous waters all served the prison's purpose. The very beauty of the place was a form of torture. From their cells, prisoners could see the majestic capes and the endless ocean, a constant, tantalizing vision of a world they could not reach. The island was both their prison and their punishment. Its formidable geography, which now draws visitors from around the world, was once the primary instrument of their captivity, a stunning and savage cage from which escape was little more than a dream. Beneath the dramatic history of Tasmania lies a story that is far, far older. It is a story told not in books, but in stone. The island's coastline is a masterpiece of geological artistry, shaped over hundreds of millions of years by immense forces. The Tasman Peninsula, once a place of confinement, is now celebrated for its extraordinary rock formations. Here, we can find one of nature's most curious patterns, the tessellated pavement. At Eaglehawk Neck, a flat expanse of rock at the water's edge has fractured into almost perfect rectangles. It looks as though a giant has laid a tiled floor, a mosaic crafted by the earth itself through a slow, patient process of erosion and mineralization. These formations are not the only wonders. The coastline is dominated by colossal sea cliffs, some of the highest in the southern hemisphere. These pillars of dolerite, a hard, dark volcanic rock, rise vertically from the raging Southern Ocean. They are immense, sheer walls that stand defiant against the relentless power of the waves. For centuries, they have been battered by wind and water, which have carved them into spectacular shapes. We see arches, sea stacks, and blowholes, each a testament to the enduring battle between land and sea. For the convicts, these cliffs were the final, unscalable walls of their prison. For us, they are monuments of breathtaking natural power. The dolerite that forms these cliffs tells a story of a violent volcanic past. Around 180 million years ago, when Tasmania was still part of the supercontinent Gondwana, molten rock surged up from deep within the Earth's crust. It did not erupt, but instead cooled and solidified into vast sheets of hard crystalline rock. As the continents drifted apart and the land was uplifted, this durable dolerite was exposed. Softer rock eroded away around it, leaving behind the dramatic peaks and columns we see today. It is this unique geology that gives Tasmania its distinctive rugged character, from the organ pipes of Mount Wellington to the formidable capes of the Tasman Peninsula. What was once a landscape of dread is now a place of wonder and exploration. Hikers now traverse the Three Capes track, a path that winds along the very precipices that once symbolized hopelessness. They look out from the top of Blade Pinnacle at Cape Pillar, gazing upon a scene of raw, untamed beauty. The forbidding cliffs have been transformed in our perception, from barriers into destinations. The same geological forces that created a perfect natural prison have also sculpted a world-class natural wonder. The island's ancient bones, once a backdrop to human suffering, are now celebrated as the very foundation of its paradise status. Time has a way of softening the hardest of edges. At Port Arthur and other convict sites across Tasmania, a quiet, patient force has been at work. Nature is reclaiming what was once taken from it. The stone walls of the prisons, the hospitals and the chapels, once symbols of imperial power, are slowly surrendering to the elements. Ivy creeps over silent archways, and moss carpets the floors where men once walked in chains. Roots of ancient trees pry apart the foundations, their slow, inexorable growth, a gentle act of defiance. The stark, imposing structures are becoming part of the landscape once more, their grim purpose fading with each passing season. This transformation is beautifully visible at places like the coal mines' historic site. Here, convicts endured some of the most brutal conditions, laboring underground in darkness. Today, the ruins of their barracks and chapels are scattered amongst a peaceful forest. The earth has begun to swallow the evidence of their toil. The bell pits, from which they dug the coal, are now just gentle depressions in the ground, softened by grass and leaf litter. It is a place of profound tranquility, where the only sounds are the rustle of leaves and the call of birds. Nature has not erased the history, but it has wrapped it in a blanket of green, turning a site of misery into a place of quiet reflection. On Maria Island, another former penal colony, this reclamation takes on an even more artistic form. Along the shore, one can find the painted cliffs. These sandstone formations have been stained over millennia by iron oxide seeping through the rock with groundwater. The result is a stunning natural canvas of swirling patterns in shades of red, orange, and yellow. They look like a magnificent abstract painting, sculpted and colored by water and time. Here, convicts once quarried stone, their lives lived against this backdrop of extraordinary beauty. Now, the cliffs stand as a pure, natural spectacle, their human history just one layer in a much older story. This process of reclamation shows us the incredible resilience of the natural world. Where humans built systems of control and punishment, nature has responded with persistence and growth. The ruins are no longer just monuments to a dark past, they are also habitats. Small ferns grow in the cracks of cell walls, and birds nest in the eaves of crumbling roofs. The contrast is striking. The rigid, angular lines of human construction are being softened and broken down by the fluid, organic patterns of nature. The forbidding places are becoming sanctuaries again, not for prisoners, but for the plants and animals that are returning to claim them as their own. Tasmania's story is also a story of its unique and wonderful animals. For millennia they evolved in isolation, creating a caste of creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Among them, one animal stands as a powerful symbol of loss: the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger. It was not a tiger at all, but the world's largest carnivorous marsupial, a shy, nocturnal hunter with a striped back and a stiff tail. To the European settlers, it was seen as a threat to their livestock. A bounty was placed on its head, and it was hunted to extinction with ruthless efficiency. The last known thylacine, named Benjamin, died in captivity in a Hobart Zoo in 1936. Its ghost now haunts the Tasmanian wilderness. The thylacine represents a profound failure of conservation, a permanent absence in this otherwise thriving ecosystem. Its story is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the irreversible consequences of our actions. While its physical presence is gone, its spirit endures in photographs, in old film footage, and in the Aboriginal rock art that depicts it. The loss of the thylacine has instilled in Tasmanians a fierce determination to protect the unique wildlife that remains, to ensure that such a tragedy is never repeated. It is an echo from the past that shapes the island's present. But where there is loss, there is also abundance. Tasmania is a haven for other remarkable marsupials, and none is more endearing than the wombat. These sturdy, barrel-shaped herbivores are a common and beloved sight, especially on islands like Maria Island, where they roam without fear. They are nature's bulldozers, digging extensive burrow systems with their powerful claws. Watching a wombat trundle across a grassy plain, grazing peacefully, is one of the island's great joys. They are a symbol of the wild, untroubled nature that now defines Tasmania, a comforting and solid presence in a landscape once marked by turmoil. Alongside the wombats, the island is home to a rich diversity of other creatures. The Tasmanian devil, with its ferocious reputation and powerful bite, is fighting its own battle for survival against a devastating facial tumor disease. Conservation efforts are underway to save this iconic species from the brink. Pedemelons, a type of small wallaby, hop through the undergrowth, while Bennett's wallabies and Forester kangaroos graze in open woodlands. The forests are alive with the sounds of birds, from the raucous yellow-tailed black cockatoo to the tiny, jewel-like, swift parrot. The fauna of Tasmania tells a complex story of survival, loss, and resilience. From a past of darkness, Tasmania has emerged into the light. The very features that once made it a terrifying prison are now the source of its renown as a natural paradise. The coastline, which once represented an impassable barrier, now invites exploration and wonder. Dolphins are a common sight, their sleek bodies leaping from the waves in the very bays where convict ships once anchored. They play in the sparkling waters of places like Wineglass Bay, a crescent of perfect white sand and turquoise sea. This bay, with its idyllic name, has its own dark history. It was once a hub for the whaling industry, its waters stained red with the blood of slaughtered whales. Today, it is a symbol of peace and pristine beauty. As dusk falls along the coast, another daily miracle occurs. Little penguins, also known as fairy penguins, return from a day of fishing at sea. They emerge from the surf in their hundreds, waddling across the beach in tight-knit groups to reach their burrows in the coastal scrub. At places like Bicheno and Lowhead, visitors can watch this enchanting parade under the guidance of experts who ensure the birds are not disturbed. It is a heartwarming spectacle, a display of life's simple, enduring rhythms. The coastline, once a line of confinement, is now a stage for nature's most charming performances, a place where life comes ashore to rest and nurture its young. The island's transformation is complete. It is now a sanctuary, a place where people come not as prisoners, but as pilgrims seeking connection with the natural world. They come to breathe the cleanest air on the planet, to hike through ancient, temperate rainforests, and to stand in awe of its raw, dramatic landscapes. The dark history has not been forgotten. It has been woven into the island's identity, serving as a powerful counterpoint to its present-day beauty. The ruins of Port Arthur are a World Heritage Site, a place of education and remembrance, reminding us of the journey from pain to peace. Tasmania stands today as a testament to the power of renewal. It shows us that a place's identity is not fixed, that even the darkest of histories can give way to a brighter future. The prison chains have rusted away, and in their place, life thrives in spectacular abundance. The unforgiving isle has become a paradise reborn, a treasure at the end of the world. It is an island of wonder, a living, breathing example of how nature, given time and respect, can heal the deepest of wounds and create a world of breathtaking beauty for all to share.